Welcome into WFRV Sports Night. Carson Fowler, your host, joined alongside Cameron Ezair.
Let's go. It's our first episode together.
This is definitely the first time we've done this, just both the two of us.
Yeah, the first time ever, but it's been a while since the two of us have been on air just in the same setting. Because it was the three of us with you, me, and Kyle for a while during training camp. And yeah, this is crazy.
We do the disguise magic double box in, sorry, that was my phone call. Just
nice,
we do the magic double box in GBN, even though I'm producing, which is fun.
Yes, very, very true. So we are on air in some capacity together, but yeah.
But this is our first time doing it. But let's skip the theatrics and get right to that just disaster that was the final, 8 minutes of the game in Chicago. You were there. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, from the jump, obviously, you had an idea that this would be a game that, because of the implications, meant so much more, and it would show on the field. And I remember walking on the field, my God, was it cold, and just wondering who would play, who was going to be in. And Josh Jacobs runs out without a limp, so that, obviously, as I walked in, Evan Williams was walking back in the locker room, so I had a feeling he wasn't playing. And when Josh ran out, you're like, okay, but at least they have Josh, they have their workhorse. And then the DNs were getting together, and you could tell that with Brenton Cox back in the fold, there was that added speed that team needed. And they even huddled up just as Rashawn Gary did for them the week prior, knowing that Micah was going to be out and saying, hey, there are going to be more opportunities. They all huddled up and got together, and it was a cool moment seeing Colby lead that huddle and get them hyped up, because that's a unit that lost such an integral part of its team. And when we went up to the press box and we were watching the game, the first half was not what you expected, obviously, with Jordan Love going out, but just everything that went with it, right? The Bears were so good in the run game a couple weeks ago in that loss at Lambeau, and they were a bit mitigated. Jordan Riley was having himself a heck of a ball game. It looked like Kenny Clark out there because they wear the same number. And it was when we got to the second half, I think everyone had an idea that, okay, this Bears team is going to wake up at some point, and then they didn't really wake up.
Yeah.
And once you got to the 4-minute mark and the 3-minute mark, and why I'm kind of describing all the circumstances throughout is you could feel the weight of the game even more so in the first half, even more so in the second half, and then everything kind of cleared. The fans felt this energy that was leaving the building, and the next thing you know, obviously the collapse happened, and then everyone got excited. But it felt like the game was at its wit's end at the end of the third quarter. And that's the craziest part.
And then the seventh wide receiver on the team, Jahdae Walker, who had played just 8 snaps.
Yeah.
8 before that score, comes down with the game-tying touchdown.
And remember, the Bears didn't have their 2 top receivers.
Yeah, Rome Odunze and Luther Borden, their second-round draft pick out this year. This game,
Again, every part of the game, from pre-game to the first half to the beginning of the second half, you were just waiting. You were waiting for the Bears to assert their dominance.
Never happened.
Because even at the beginning of the game, where I'm mentioning all these guys and Josh runs on, he doesn't have you're expecting, okay, this Packers team is so beaten up. When is it going to show? And it never showed. And then it showed. And a funny story, I went to the bathroom while Cairo Santos was making that field goal to make it 16-9. I walk into the bathroom, I'm washing my hands.
Also, shout out Cairo Santos. He made some kicks,
that man. 51 in the
that was one of the best kicks of the season.
The wind.
Bar none.
So I tweeted out a video of a Packers coach's play sheet flying across the field. Did they show it on the broadcast at all? Okay, because I'm like, what is that?
Insane.
Our Lance Allen, who works at the CBS in Milwaukee, was like, is that a coach's play sheet? And right when a Bears staffer is about to pick it up, the ball boy runs in, grabs it, and brings it across.
Oh my God.
But the wind was so severe when he made that field goal. And I just thought, okay, well, they're going to kick it off. They have the 2 timeouts, and they'll just try to get a stop and prevent the Packers from getting a first down. I didn't know they were trying for the onside kick because, again, went to the bathroom getting ready to go down the elevators to talk to the guys. And I'm sitting there, and I was flossing and trying to get the stuff out of my teeth. And you hear over the speaker in the bathroom, because they play the radio. And it's like, Cairo Santos kick. Romeo Doubs first touches it. Chicago recovers. And I'm looking at,
also, one thing I will note for the people at home, you now in the NFL have to announce they are doing the onside kick.
Yes.
So there's even a less chance that I think they said that
right?
Eight recovered onside kicks.
No, it was 8% chance that they would recover the onside kick.
How many have been recovered this year?
Oh, there can't be a lot because of the lack of the element of surprise.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when then they started driving down the field, and the Packers defense did a great job holding them to third and long. But then that catch by DJ Moore, and then obviously on that fourth down. And I was telling you before we got on here, if Micah Parsons was on the left side and they were double teaming him, or if he was the free rusher on the right side, different story. Brenton Cox looked slow getting to Caleb, and that a lot because when Caleb released that football, John A. Walker was in the middle of Nate Hobbs and Keyshawn Nixon, so he had no clue that the route was even cutting to the outside and getting to the corner of the end zone. So once all that happened, you kind of had an idea, oh, what is this locker room going to feel like? It felt like what you thought it would feel like.
Just the air taken out of the room. I remember it was you or another reporter asked Rashawn Gary last week, like, what are we doing now? And he's like, well, there's going to be more opportunities. Mm-hmm. The issue is Micah Parsons created so many opportunities for this defensive line. It wasn't that he was getting sacks. He just made that defensive line so much better because of the attention that he demanded.
You felt like something was missing. Caleb Williams had a lot more time.
I want to say in week 14, when the Packers hosted the Bears, they had a sack, 2 tackles for loss, and 6 QB hits. Against the Bears in week 16, 0 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and just 4 QB hits.
And remember, Micah in that game 2 weeks ago had 8 pressures alone.
Yeah. That's why he led the NFL in quarterback pressures.
It changes everything because Lucas Van Ness, as much as, yes, he's a first-round pick and you understand
it's just not the same.
The speed is not there. And then Rashawn Gary, I want to say one thing because I've seen a lot of videos that people are claiming Rashawn Gary kind of jogs and is slowing down. The fact is, if Rashawn Gary was running at his full speed, he wouldn't get there. That's the difference between him and Micah. It's not that Rashawn Gary's giving up. It's that
Micah was just that fast.
He wouldn't even be able to get there. So what's the point of turning on the Jets, not getting there looking like a fool? I remember, what was it? I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago before Micah got injured. And Rashawn and Micah were chasing, it might have been Bo Nix. And Micah beat Rashawn to the quarterback so bad. Now, I think Bo Nix got the ball out. But just seeing the two run side by side, it wasn't even a comparison.
Well, I remember early on in the season when the Packers had first acquired Micah Parsons, everyone was like, look how fast he gets off the line of scrimmage. I took a screenshot of their game against the Lions. He is a step and a half faster than Devontae Wyatt. Obviously, Devontae Wyatt's out for the season now, but at that point, this video is like frame by frame. Mm-hmm. And Micah Parsons is so far beyond the other three. Yeah. Like they haven't even moved. And he's already into his job. And granted, that's also just about being very good at timing up the snap and being able to get off the line of scrimmage quickly. But that's just the element they're just missing with him.
Now, I will say, the defense statistically and per the eye test did everything they could feasibly do.
Of course.
In that game without Micah Parsons. And it's not that you didn't feel like Micah Parsons wasn't there. You felt the effect. But there was a level of masking that Jeff Hafley and the rest of that defensive coaching staff played with. And I think we all knew the defense is not going to look the same, but they better enter that game with all the chatter.
Same mentality.
Oh, without Micah Parsons, you guys are going to regress. With all that chatter, we had an idea the defense was not too happy that they were being discounted. These are pros as well. And they kept telling us that, we'll be fine. Yeah, it stinks. He's a great player. But by saying that we're going to lose games without Micah Parsons is telling us that we're not worthy enough.
It's disrespectful.
And when we went in that locker room after the game, I think the defensive guys were even more annoyed with what happened because they showed the entire world, not that they don't need Micah Parsons, but they can get it done without him.
Yes.
But then, of course, the offense gifts them another possession. They get, they convert on the fourth down.
Yeah.
In overtime, if the offense scores, it's a different story, but you give them the ball back at the 36-yard line, so they only have to drive down the field partially. Like, everything was working toward the defense's favor of saying, we don't need Micah Parsons.
Like, we will be okay.
And then that happens.
And then things weren't.
And then now, guess where the chatter is? It's right back to what we thought it was. And again, in that locker room.
Just use that as fuel. But go up against a good Ravens team and do the same.
That's what they did. But I can only imagine how disheartening it was. Yeah. And I know I tweeted out videos and you guys have posted them of Colby Wooden and just how incensed he was of just, gosh, this one's going to stick. And it's going to stick even more because, again, they showed that they can get it done even as beleaguered as they were. They showed that they could get it done, and then they didn't get it done, largely because the offense didn't do them any, or special teams as well.
I think it's just another thing, too. Just having Micah out there just makes opposing quarterbacks a little nervous. Mm-hmm. Like, I know for a fact, I can say I know for a fact. I think Caleb Williams went into that game a little less uncomfortable, a little less nervous, knowing that one of the NFL's leaders in sacks and pressures was not going after him every play.
Yes. Yeah. Again,
he looked running for his life in week 14.
Again, pressures aren't the stat that you see in the box score often because you're not looking at it when it's on the field. They matter so much. When a guy leaves the pocket, that creates a world of trouble in their head later in the game.
Because for what it's worth, football is all timing. And it's all about which team can just disrupt the timing just a little bit. It's even just Micah chipping a tight end at the line of scrimmage.
Drawing a double.
Yeah. Because then everyone else has a one-on-one.
Or
you have a free rusher.
And the craziest part is Rashawn Gary over the last 8 weeks has not taken advantage of those one-on-ones in terms of the building up the stats of the sacks and the tackle for losses. Now imagine without Micah garnering that attention, now you're not even going to see Rashawn Gary. It's
non-factor. They won't even say his name on the broadcast.
It changes literally everything. And I remember it was after the Thanksgiving win in Dallas, he had the 3 sacks. So everyone was, what was this?
Arizona.
This was Arizona. No, I'm thinking. Sorry, I'm thinking of
in Dallas.
I'm thinking of the 2 sacks in Detroit on Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Where he passed Reggie White as the 2.5 sacks, the only player to have at least 12 in his first 5 seasons.
Yep.
And of course, at a certain point, the defense is like, how many more questions can we answer about Micah Parsons? Right? Like, we get it, but he's our teammate. We love him, but like, yes, he makes us good. And people were asking constantly the impact, that all stuff, and the players were like, okay. But when Evan Williams was asked about it the second time, he gave a pretty good answer. He's like, when he came in, he just instilled a level of confidence in us. And that I hadn't heard before. I had heard the impact that he's made on the field, but the confidence factor, you could feel a little more swagger on the field in Chicago because they were just upset that everyone thought and counted them out without Micah. But the swagger when he's on the field, I'd have swagger if I was on the field.
It's like the same thing with Xavier McKinney.
Yeah.
They just play with a level of swag and confidence, which is, I thought, what we'd see more from Keyshawn Nixon. I feel like we saw that for so much of the season. We just haven't seen that the last 2.5 weeks. And sacks and interceptions are just such valuable statistics. Like, you see Xavier McKinney. How many interceptions did he have last year?
He had 8 or 9.
That's insane. And Micah Parsons, 12.5 sacks. That's insane. You see those numbers, they jump off the page, which is why when you get a game wrecker like him, you're like, wow, this defense really is something.
Makes a difference.
Like, we're going to be something.
Do you think there's something up with Xavier McKinney because the interception numbers aren't there? Or do you think that we're going to, obviously you don't want to throw it his way because of what he did last year?
I think it's more that. I just don't think teams want to throw his way. Think of how close he's come in the last 2 games to having multiple interceptions. Should have had it at least one in Denver.
Yeah.
And then he absolutely should have had one last week.
Yeah, that one was right. I mean,
that was in his hands. That was the worst one. I thought the 2 in Denver, the one on the boundary and the one that he broke up when he was
on the deep ball
on Cortland Sutton, those were tough. Those were really tough plays. And then he made a play on the ball, so you can't even be upset. I thought he just dropped the ball in Chicago. Yeah. And I can't exactly remember when that play happened.
It was at the beginning of the third quarter.
It's like, that's a game-changing play. Like, that's the one thing the Packers have to do without Micah Parsons, because the Bears do not have a game wrecker, but they force a lot of turnovers.
Yep.
And that's what you have to do when you're a subpar defense. And they're subpar.
Which helps the offense.
Exactly.
And
you give them more opportunities to score, and that's exactly what they did.
Yep. And if the offense can't capitalize, but the defense is still playing at the level they are, that's when you get 16-6 with 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, then you're leaving the door open for the Bears to do what they did, which is just backdoor somehow win that game. When you leave the door open, that's what happens.
Marcus Eversole had such a good analogy or soliloquy or whatever you want to call it on little magic from behind the scenes. We taped our Green Bay Nation show for Wednesday. He said the ending of that Bears-Packers game was like a 10-leg parlay for the Bears. They needed 10 things to go right for them to win that game, and somehow, imperfectly, perfectly, all 10 things happened.
Can you think of the situation? So the Brinson face mask on 3rd and 20 extended that drive to set up Cairo Santos for that field goal.
Made the field goal.
Making the field goal. Obviously the onside kick. the touchdown to Jade Walker on 4th down. Because again, if he doesn't catch that ball, because that was a miraculous score.
It was on 4th down too, right?
Yeah, I mean the 2 feet in, that was very impressive. It wasn't like an easy play to make.
That wasn't that great. I was like, bro, for what it was worth, that was pretty good catch.
It goes back to an NFL player should make that play, but a guy that's played 8 snaps prior, you don't know.
Before we go back to this topic, I want to say something. I asked Matt LaFleur yesterday, how do you prepare for a guy like Jade Walker who just hasn't played?
Yeah.
And he said, it's like preparing for any other guy. It's like preparing for Roma Dunze.
Mm-hmm.
But Roma Dunze has played hundreds of snaps this year.
But the only reason he says that is because that's the only way they can prepare for them. You can't.
There's no tape on him.
So the way you prepare for him is by saying, again, it's like any other guy. But those are the 4, and then obviously, I mean, the coin toss of them getting it right, so they get to defer. So the Packers have to go first. The dropped fumble on or the drop snap, and then there goes the phone falling.
The phone falling, right?
Phone falling, and then wasn't there a play right before the touchdown to DJ Moore? It might not have been, but that's a 7-leg parlay, just that in the final minute 59.
I want to say they completed like a 15 or something yard pass to Colson Loveland on the left side.
Yeah, and it was...
there was one decent chunk play that set them up where he could throw like a 65-yard pass.
And I think it was a 3rd down or something, so it did matter in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, so many... Oh my God.
There's just too many.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's about a 16-minute rant that we just went on. So we'll take a quick break here on WFRV Plus Sports Night. But when we come back, we got more on the Bears and Packers, and maybe we'll talk a little Jordan Love and how his start in Saturday could be in total jeopardy. That when we come back. Welcome back into WFRV Plus Sports Night. Carson Fowler, Cameron Ezier. We're talking ball with you guys. Packers Bears 22-16 in Chicago, a devastating loss that has really put the Packers behind the chains in trying to get that NFC North crown. They need to win out, and the Bears have to lose out for that to happen, which is entirely possible given the next 2 games that the Bears have.
Yeah, I mean, that Niners game, it will be important because...
that is in San Francisco?
It's in San Francisco, but the final game against the Lions is in Chicago. But the game in San Francisco matters because depending on what they do against the Colts on Monday Night Football, they're 10-4 at the time that we're recording this. And if they win, then they are in a dead heat with the Rams, and they're only a game back of the Seahawks. So they're still going for the
NFC
1 seed.
West is just crazy.
But the NFC West is, but so is the North. I know the Lions just lost to the Steelers.
All in contention.
That's the craziest thing is that the teams that are alive are all in that same division.
You even talk about the Vikings. They just became 7-8 out of nowhere.
And they're still eliminated.
And they've lost a couple close games. They lost to the Bears on a miraculous, what was that miraculous play that ended up turning into Cairo Santos game-winning field goal?
Yeah. Toward the back end.
JJ McCarthy scored, and then like it's like I can't remember exactly what the play was, but they ended up winning a close one. Like just a couple. It's just crazy. The NFL is just a game of plays.
100%. And there was something
it's timing and plays,
right? And it goes back to what we were talking about before the show is the stat about the Packers haven't punted in 2 games this season, which is crazy.
And they've lost both.
The rest of the NFL in teams that haven't punted
undefeated
are 8-0.
Unbelievable.
Just situationally. But it's wild to think that the Packers blow a game like that and they still have a chance to win the division. And it actually is more likely. It's more unlikely than it is likely, but the fact that it even has a level of likeliness after losing that game is shocking.
I think that just goes to show how good this Packers team is, because Ryan Wood said this on our Green Bay Nation show, that they've been in every game. There has not been a game where they have been definitively beaten.
Right.
We have not seen that yet. We've seen games that have been great. We've seen games that they've lost. But like every game, there was a moment where they could have won and they just didn't put it away, which gives you some confidence that they can win their next 2 games against 2 par opponents.
Depending on the quarterback.
Both are 7-8.
But we don't even know the quarterback situation.
We don't know what the situation was with Lamar Jackson. Max Brosmer?
Brosmer. Yeah, because JJ McCarthy might be out for the year. And Lamar Jackson's dealing with that back bruise. He's day-to-day, so it might be Tyler Huntley.
We don't even know who the Packers quarterback's going to be.
That's a good point. Before we get to that, I loved that you brought up that they've been in every single game. There was the stat that I brought up to you when I walked into the office today.
This is a really good one.
And I'm going to give everyone a couple seconds to think about it when I ask it, because I want to ask it to the audience, is for how long in terms of time, game time, have the Packers trailed by double digits? So think about that. How much this season, in what we're 15 games in, have the Packers trailed by 10 or more points?
So 15 times 60, by the way, is 450 minutes.
Great math. They have trailed by 10 or more.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. 600. Nope. 60 times
Awful
10,
math.
600's 900.
Yeah.
900 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So double that. Sorry.
It's bad on both of us because I
900.
say great math.
900.
4 minutes and 53 seconds.
So that means that for 800, you said 4 minutes? So for
95 minutes. It has at least been a Packers
that
lead,
is
a tie, or a single-digit deficit
that is
for the Packers.
insane.
And the only time was for 4 minutes and 53 seconds in the fourth quarter against the Eagles when they were down 10-0. They scored that late touchdown. And for 7 seconds at the end of the first half against Arizona when Arizona went up 13-3, and then Haversack kicked that 61-yard franchise record to make it 13-6 at the break.
I guess that makes sense because the Packers led for all but 24 seconds in that second half.
Mm-hmm. And that Cowboys game was back and forth. The Browns game, they gave it up at the end. The first 2 games, they never trailed. The Steelers game, they were down by 9 in the first half, but then blew them out in the second half.
Also, I want to add one more thing. The Packers 6-1 before the Denver game when leading at half. Now 6-3.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
Because they led in Denver and they led in Chicago.
It's been 2 games that have gotten away from him, and now.
Oh, and the other loss?
Yeah,
Cleveland.
Right. Oh, right. Because they were up 10-0 in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Or yeah, gosh, it's just crazy to think about.
Kyle Malzahn and I were talking about how this Packers team. I wouldn't say they find ways to lose, but they do it to themselves.
Yeah. But do you think that every NFL team does though? Is this just because we cover the team around them?
I would say that only because this Packers team is very good. Like I would say the Tennessee Titans are just a bad football team.
True, I can see that.
You know what I mean?
I think I'm more so saying the teams with good records.
Oh, sure.
I don't know. I think because we cover them so much, it's like me saying, gosh, the Packers are so injury ridden, which they are.
Like I would say now I'm thinking about the Rams are the best team in the the Seattle Seahawks are the best team in the NFL right now.
In the NFC, the Patriots and the Seahawks are 12-3.
I'm trying to think of like a stark loss that happened.
Yeah. There's just been so much happening. And now you enter this weekend and Matt LaFleur's talking about emergency quarterbacks.
Yeah.
What do you say, Jaden Reed and Josh Jacobs?
Jaden Reed and Josh Jacobs. I think that's actually a great stopping point because we are having great conversation, but we're also running out of time. So we're going to take one more quick break. Deal. We will talk about that on the way back. I know I teased that the last time. we will actually be talking about that on the other side, folks. Welcome back to WFRV Plus Sports Night. That's Cam. I'm Carson. Okay, we're actually going to talk about Jordan Love's concussion because we are all very concerned about him. And I would say it's not a stretch to say that his start against the Ravens is questionable.
Yes, sure. I mean, not
Malik Willis' start might even be questionable.
Yeah, the shoulder, which...
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, please do.
What would you say the over-under is on throwing the football if there's no Malik Willis and no Jordan Love? And I'll ask you a follow-up. Do they sign someone in an emergency position like going after Phillip Rivers? I'm not saying they would go after a 44-year-old with 10 kids. Sorry.
No, true, though.
But is that a possibility? And then the over-under on throws if they don't.
We're at the point where they haven't already, which is a concern, especially because the game's Saturday, not Sunday.
Right.
So they're going to practice tomorrow. Tomorrow is their Wednesday, which is Tuesday. Clayton Tune, they have him on the practice squad. I'm not saying bring, but if they're worried, they have to either bring Clayton Tune up or sign someone. And the fact that they haven't signed someone on a short week, and it's not short because Saturday, but as of now, it feels like a short week because the schedule.
Right.
They have to. And think about it. Who has been their emergency blanket when Malik Willis has to play or when Jordan Love can't be out there? Josh Jacobs. What happened with Josh Jacobs in that Chicago game? He played played 28 snaps, and after he fumbled the ball, every handoff went to Emmanuel Wilson, who did have 5.9 yards per carry, and he played very well. What if Emmanuel Wilson goes down?
Chris Brooks, Pierre Strong.
So you're relying on now you're not just relying on a practice squad quarterback or a guy you just signed. Now you're relying on
you actually almost hope that the Bears beat the Niners and the Packers win. So then they can just rest the last week. So the last week just doesn't even matter.
Right. Because when you think of the seeding, depending on what happens next week, the Packers might be locked into the 7 with no way of getting the 6 or the 5.
Because the NFC West is just so strong.
Well, the Packers can't get the 5 because it's either going to go to the Rams or the Seahawks.
Right.
or
the
the Niners.
6.
Oh,
well, the Niners could technically,
depending on if the Niners lose next week, they'll still be at 10 wins, depending on what happens against the Colts on Monday Night Football. If they beat the Colts on Monday Night Football,
there's a lot up in the air.
But think about it. If the Niners beat the Colts on Monday Night Football, they have 11 wins. That means the 5 and the 6 seed are going to each have at least 11 wins.
So then they'd be locked because then they couldn't surpass. Well, there might be some tiebreakers if they were to win out.
But the thing is, do you risk the win? And I just think it's concerning that
I'll say this though. So of the 4 teams are going to have a bye. You're not going to play the Panthers, the Buccaneers. It's not going to happen.
No.
You'd either play Philly, Chicago, or the winner of the NFC West.
So do you
I think I would rather play the Bears.
100%. It's not even a question.
Kyle said he wanted to say that play the Eagles.
No, you don't.
There are the weapons the Eagles have and that defense is so much better prepared than the Bears.
And the Bears, you feel like you got their number a little bit because
you've also played them twice.
That's what
You've
I'm saying.
been in their building.
I agree with you. I
would not want to go to Philly again.
100%. 1,000%.
So then I think you would want to lose the last game and lock yourself into the 7.
The problem is you just can't play that game.
But the one thing is, though, if you do that, then you are guaranteed to play the number 1 seed in the next round.
True. But yeah. But I think the Niners are going to beat the Colts on Monday night. I might be wrong. And if that happens, then the idea of winning out, they're going to try to win out, but it might not matter after week 17. So we could see that. But the fact that Matt LaFleur at this point of the season is mentioning Jaden Reed, who went down with a minor injury in that game against the Bears and has been beat up all season after coming back from 2 surgeries. And Josh Jacobs, who can barely feel his knee, and those are your emergency quarterbacks.
They're in a bad spot.
I'd rather anyone else. You be the emergency. We're mentioning 2 injured guys.
We might have to get you out there, man.
Oh,
at least you can see over the line. I'm like Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good stopping point. We had some good conversation. Good to have you on the program, and we will see you back here tomorrow at the same time. Thanks for joining us.